Susan, it was about a year ago that President Obama was here for a memorial service to remember the 161 Joplin area residents who lost their lives on May 22nd. Tonight, he is here to celebrate a new beginning for these students here at Missouri Southern University. The president arriving wheels down aboard a smaller version of Air Force One at about 6:33 at the Joplin airport tonight, greeted there by Governor Jay Nixon and the mayor of Joplin, Mayor Melody Keene, among other dignitaries who were there at the airport. He was arriving in Joplin from a bit of foreign policy, the NATO summit in Chicago. But tonight he is here on the Missouri Southern campus, motorcading over from the Joplin airport to the Leggett and Platt Athletic Center, where inside folks had been lining up all afternoon. 423 seniors and hundreds of parents, family, and friends had been waiting in eager anticipation. The ceremony was scheduled to start at 7. It started about a half hour late, but once it started, it did not disappoint. The graduating seniors hearing from some of their classmates, from their principal, even from the superintendent of schools, all of them praising these students for their resilience. And then finally, the man they had waited so long to hear, what a commencement speaker for them 1 year later, the President of the United States, who told them the world is proud of them.
But as I look out at this class and across this city, what's clear is that you're the source of inspiration today. To me, to this state, to this country, and to people all over the world.
And we are hearing that the president has just wrapped up his address to the seniors, so in just a few minutes, they'll start that parade of picking up their diplomas. Now, in tonight's speech, the president was scheduled to shout out a number of volunteers, folks who made life a little bit easier for these high school students and the residents of Joplin in general. And one of them is a Kansas City woman, Melissa Blayton, who organized a project prom for these Joplin high school students, wanted to make sure they had a normal prom. Many of them had lost everything, and she wanted to make sure they could afford it. So she and volunteers gathered about $100,000 in donations, everything from dresses to tuxes to hair, working up the hair and getting the girls ready for prom night, DJs, music, photography, all of it. She said tonight here at the Leggett and Platt Center that she was certainly honored to be mentioned, but she couldn't have done it alone.
It's an honor, but I can honestly say that I couldn't have done what I did without the help of a lot of other volunteers that helped make our Joplin Prom project actually able to happen, because it wasn't just me. I had the idea, but it took a lot of people and an entire amazing dream team to make it happen.
Certainly Melissa Blayton and her volunteers making this senior year prom something very special. In fact, a senior year is always something very special, isn't it? It's a year of farewells and yearbook signings and remembering. Most seniors, though, don't have to worry about rebuilding their lives. So helping them tell that story was key to a group of volunteers out of Kansas City who arrived with a once-upon-a-time way to tell that story in a rather unique way, now and forever.
Don't travel down the street. Ma'am, calm down. I can't understand what you're saying. Oh my God. Please keep us safe. Oh my God!
Once upon a time, a small town with a big community overcame tragedy.
Once upon a time, the town I was born and raised in was destroyed by a tornado, or at least that is what they say.
It took heart and courage to rise from the rubble.
But because of the compassion of people from across the country, we've been able to move on.
We are the Joplin Eagles, and we are Joplin Strong.
It is their story, Joplin's story, one senior at a time. And on this day,
plan on getting a Sharpie marker and start writing your story.
one t-shirt at a time. Their story, a high school reduced to rubble, a senior year in disarray, a district scrambling to find a new normal in an old shopping center, and each senior with their own personal story. A story Stephanie Tillman just knew these kids had to share.
It makes me feel like all of the layers of sweat in the last year are worth it.
A year of handing out t-shirts in Joplin, urging residents to write their story on each shirt for all to read.
We're almost a year later, and we've seen over 5,000 shirts be written on and 5,000 voices be heard. It's really exciting to see the seniors get to have that voice now also.
A voice via the Sharpie, a shirt and their hearts.
I have never been through what you've been through, but I have definitely been through my own life storms and some very tragic ones.
A project inspired by Stephanie's own painful years as an addict and homeless, now a wife, mother, and businesswoman.
Every time that I went through something, I became stronger. And every time I became stronger and I shared that chapter with somebody else that was going through it, they found hope.
Now, Stephanie and her volunteers hope these kids will share their stories to help heal themselves and others.
Those who hope in the Lord will renew their strength. They will soar on wings like eagles, because we're the Joplin Eagles.
For some Joplin Eagles, the writing comes easy. Others, not so much.
I have no clue. Not yet. I'm getting there.
But the stories begin to flow slowly at first. Some just stories.
It doesn't correlate at all. It's just a story about a dragon.
Others, stories of fear and danger and survival.
I wrote Love Like There's No Tomorrow.
Because for Shaylee Purdy, there almost wasn't. She and co-workers on duty at McDonald's raced customers into a freezer to ride out the storm.
I remember the windows blowing out, and you could hear like rainwater flying into the fry vats, and it was very scary. That's the best way I can describe it.
Scary, but grateful everyone inside survived. Others are grateful too for survival and the global hug Joplin's received in the days and months following.
On the back, I wrote, "Once upon a time, a tornado ripped through the heart of Joplin, but the world was there to help pick up the pieces. Thank you."
You know, I've developed a couple of friendships just from, handing out water bottles and just striking up conversation. It's amazing what can happen.
And yes, t-shirts filled with young, raw grief.
And I can't express it. Bad.
Nick McIntosh was waiting at his friend Lance's home when his world changed forever.
My name is Lance. I'm 16 years old.
Lance didn't make it.
I know you coolin' in heaven. I'ma swag it out for you though. Rest in peace, Lance Hare, my brother from another mother.
So Nick's t-shirt tells a teen's toughest story. Some of these kids lost homes, possessions, and memories. A few lost their lives.
It makes me feel good. It makes me kind of feel like he knows that I'm doing it. Like when I was writing it, it kind of felt like he was right behind me, watching me write it, And I know he can see what I'm doing. So.
You miss him?
Yeah, a lot.
But your stories are never meant for you to hold on to yourself.
But writing their chapters on a simple tee is just the beginning for these seniors.
They're meant for you to give to somebody else that needs you to share it with them so that they can find hope too. So when you guys wear your shirts, go out into the world and share your story, okay?
By the grace of a tornado's twist or turn, these survivors will have stories to share. From the heart, worn over the heart. Once upon a time.
Joplin High School Class of 2012!
The kids are being urged to wear their shirts around town and strike up conversations about hope, but also to pass those shirts on to their children and yes, one day even their grandchildren, even though that seems a long way away. And Susan, I'll tell you what, once upon a time, will they live happily ever after? Who knows? But this graduation night, pretty special start for these kids.
Absolutely. Good evening, everyone. I'm Susan Hyland.
And I'm John Holt. As Casey at the Bat continues here on Fox 4 News at 5. We have our seats, a pretty good perch here. The Fox 4 set out in right field as everybody's getting ready for the All-Star Game, the Midsummer Classic here in Kansas City. In fact, let's take you down live to the field and show you some of the action going on down there. The National League is going through its batting practice right now. The American League had its BP a little bit earlier. Just a reminder, of course, you can watch the game live right here on Fox 4. We're going to take you right up to Fox pregame coverage at 6:30 with Joe Buck, and they're set out in left field. And then, of course, the 6 o'clock All-Star on deck, 6:30. Joe Buck takes over, and the game coverage starts at 7 o'clock right here on Fox 4.
It has been a wild week here in Kansas City, and some might argue that the best seats available for this game are still available.
Yeah, the mayor and city council are putting on watch parties all over the metro, and here's the best part. They are free, unlike the tickets we're selling out here, some of the prices we've seen. Fox 4's Gia Vang live at the Kansas City Zoo, the scene of one of the watch parties tonight. Gia?
It's just a short trek to Kansas City, Missouri.
Yeah, and here's a list of those other watch parties around the metro area for you. They're being held at Crown Center, the Guadalupe Center, the McShann Pavilion in the 18th and Vine Jazz District, the Zoo, where, as you heard, you can watch with the Bears, and Zona Rosa in the Northland. You might want to bring your own lawn chairs and blankets, but as we mentioned, the price is right. to hang out with some other All-Star fans.
It's free.
That's a pretty good price because the tickets out here are not, as we have seen. Of course, thousands of fans are piling in to Kauffman Stadium. Gates open right around 4 o'clock.
But it is sold out, but that hasn't stopped people from trying to get their hands on some tickets. That's a far cry from 1973, back when they were $12, and 1960, back when it was the Athletics Club. They were, I think, $7 or $8 then. A little inflation there.
I can afford those.
Exactly.
I got that covered.
You know, before the All-Stars headed out to the stadium this afternoon, they did a little parading around the plaza this afternoon, a red carpet event.
Another big free event here in Kansas City. They rolled out the red carpet on the plaza for the players. Lots of folks were there. So was Fox 4's John Pepitone with the scene from the Country Club Plaza.
It's as close as many as these fans will get on the Country Club Plaza.
What a great time down there as they rolled out the red carpet. All right, that's some of the pregame festivities around Kansas City. But, oh, yeah, we got a big game tonight, the 83rd edition of the All-Star Game.
That's right. That is starting a little bit. Let's join Fox 4's Al Wallace down on the field for some of the action there. Al? It doesn't feel that bad because we're used to the 105-degree temperatures. It feels good.
Yeah, it's 93, but it's 103 with these darn lights. Guys, come on. What's up with that?
It's not that bad.
We got to look good, though. It's the 83rd edition of the All-Star Game. Right?
Absolutely, and a lot of people coming out here talking about barbecue. A lot of people coming to town. That's the first thing they want to do. When I talked with Ozzie Smith on Celebrity Softball, he said, I'm going to Gates. So
where can I get my Gates?
Exactly.
Or, you know, Gates, it could be Arthur Bryant, Oklahoma Joe's. Those are the names you hear about. Well, I'll tell you what, I want you to meet Mitch.
Ribs, baby.
Mitch Benjamin and his American Royal Barbecue team. Last year, during a charity event, some Royals got a hold of the award-winning team's queue, and the rest is history. After a half a dozen or so post-game Royals meals, it's an all-star selection pregame grub for the All-Star Game. A baseball and barbecue fan's dream come true.
These guys are enormous, and it's one guy after another everywhere you turn. It's Jeter, it's, you know, Prince Fielder. If you're a baseball fan like me, that's the coolest thing there is.
Bringing them out some great barbecue, hope they're hungry.
Hungry for ribs, wings, brisket, and all the fixins. Smoked since early All-Star morning and ready to roll. Final preps outside the clubhouse and then delivery. Even this won't get me into the pregame meal, but we have it on pretty good authority that these All-Stars love the ribs. The Fox broadcast team and umpires, too. And we got Gates, we got Bryant's. When they leave town, what do you want them to remember?
Meet Mitch, baby.
Womp, womp. They've won a lot of awards, womp, womp. Serving up barbecue. Last night, the ESPN crew got their barbecue for the Home Run Derby. John Kruk loved it, was tweeting about it, mentioned it on air. Their website, the Meet Mitch website, had nearly 5,000 hits and crashed.
Wow.
They also sell a barbecue sauce and a rub. So if you're interested, hit their website. Give them time to get it back up and running.
Where were they located here at the K, and where are we going after the 5?
Our credentials won't get us there.
No
trust
way.
Me. And by the way, it's all gone. Maybe Joe Buck and Tim McCarver up in the booth will share it with us, right?
I doubt it. Yerking live at a charred remains of JJ's restaurant. The plaza explosion and gas leak is first on Fox 4 News at 9.
I'm John Holt along with Susan Hyland as we continue our live coverage. Here's what we know right now. A car apparently hit a gas main, causing the explosion of JJ's restaurant at 48th and Bellevue. That was an initial report. Now, there's some other reports that may not have been the case, so they're still sorting through that. Mayor Sly James says 14 people are hurt. Neighbors are being evacuated, and we are working for you with live team coverage of the plaza fire and explosion. And we begin with Gia Vang, our first reporter on the scene tonight. Gia?
Hey, John and Susan, also on scene here.
Anything?
All right, Gia, can you clarify for us, if you would? There was a report earlier that a vehicle hit a connector or a pipe in front of the restaurant there. And then at a later briefing, the chief said that may not have been the case, although it's still an accident. They believe a pipe may have broken underground. Is that what you're hearing now? Is that the latest?
That is what we're hearing. We're in an accident right now.
Okay, Gia Vang live on the plaza. Stay there, Gia. We'll come back to you as the story continues to develop from your scene tonight.
As she mentioned, she talked with the mayor earlier tonight. He gave a briefing. Sean McDowell was at that briefing. He joins us from the newsroom with an update on that. Sean?
Yeah, Mayor Sly James.
Thank you very much, Sean.
Still waiting to hear from MGE tonight on the status of that. Let's take you live now to the University of Kansas Hospital. We mentioned 14 confirmed hurt by the mayor. There have been a number of numbers tossed out, but Eric Burke is live at KU tonight with the numbers and info from there. Eric?
Well, John, on Tuesday night.
Happen on Thursday, coming up.
All right, Mike, thank you very much.
And we'll continue our live team coverage of the Plaza Fire, JJ's, the restaurant, as we continue here on Fox 4 News at 9. We're working for you.